Can we just welcome you to our second open mic night of 2015? As you know, we run these monthly in every chapter. Okay, so you may remember in my last mailer I said I rather like really disruptive stuff, and the first time I Skyped with Daniel, he said, oh no, I'm going to do a completely new monetary system and throw away the existing global monetary system, which I quite like. So this is probably one of the most disruptive things I've seen so far. So over to you, Daniel. Tell us all about it. There you go.
Thank you so much for having me and for inviting me and for that excellent introduction. Well, I'm Daniel from KOINA. I'm living in Hamburg, but our company, our startup, is based in Switzerland, not because of tax reasons, but because of bank regulatory issues. And what's KOINA? I'm going to explain you now. We all know that only when the last tree is cut, the last river poisoned, and so on, we will notice that we cannot eat money. And what's really the point? What's really the problem that we're facing in the system that we're having today, which KOINA is solving? It's basically, let's say we are 50 people in this room, and we would have no money, and the whole world would only consist of these 50 people here in this room. Now a banker would come in and say, I will all give you 1,000 units, pounds, whatever. Then we would have 50,000 pounds in the whole world, which is then the money mass. But the banker would ask, of course, for interest. And this interest is never created systemically. That means we would all have to pay back to the banker, let's say 55,000, but these 5,000 do not exist. So what we would have to do is we would need to find others that are going to get a credit as well, then take it from them and give it back to the bankers. This is the growth that we are forced to do in the economy. And this is basically one of the big flaws in the system. We are forced to grow. And the financial industry is asking in average for 6 to 8%, and the economy only grows globally around 2 to 3%. So how can that work? It's another flaw in the system. And this is the big problem that we are trying to solve, because we think that it is not to be solved in the system we have now, which will never happen. We decided to set up a completely new one. So let's take a look. Our solution is that everybody who produces value is able to issue money themselves, so self-issued credit. If everybody who is creating value can self-issue credit for free, we wouldn't have the problem that I just described. And we wouldn't need any central instance to somehow try to solve that money mass problem. So this is a modern monetary system for self-issued credit. The difference in money, as we know it today, is basically that money is a bilateral contract between the bank and the borrower. The bank trusts the borrower, to whom they issue the credit to, that they're going to back the credit within a certain time frame. KOINA is different. It's not a bilateral contract, it's a social contract. So the producer who is promising to deliver a good or a service to the market is therefore able to self-issue the value that he's going to bring to the market up front, which is basically a new financing tool. So the social contract, as per common law, is basically a social contract that defines collective rules that constrain the behavior of the members of this community in such way as to protect each of its members while also benefiting the KOINA society as a whole. And this is what we're going to do with smart contracts. Everybody who's producing a good or a service can self-issue credit through signing that smart contract with their private key. So let's take this example. A Swedish baker, a very famous Swedish baker, is promising to deliver some loaves of bread, let's say 1,000 loaf of bread. 1 KOINA, 1 bread, €1 or £1, doesn't matter, just as an example to calculate. This is a front-end simulation. So the baker would enter in his contract his future promise to deliver 1,000 loaf of bread until the end of the month, and therefore can self-issue KOINA. Now here's a rating tool, a public rating tool, so if he pays back the credit in time, which is systemically deleted after he has fulfilled his delivery promise, he would get a good rating for the next round, which enables him to self-issue more due to a better rating. Therefore, we have 1,067 here. So if we look at his balance sheet, that would be a surplus in his cash T account, which is the balance sheet extension, which of course also raises his equity. Now he then would bring the currency into circulation by paying products and services so that he can finance his production. And when he's selling the products that he was promising to deliver to the market, he would get back the money that is then deleted from his account automatically. This is then the balance sheet contraction. So this is a debt-free system. It is based on a unilateral contract or social contract, and it's a positive monetary system, and since it is run automatically, we call that smart money. Now, the debt problem we're facing in the world is pretty big, so we think we can do pretty well as well. And the most challenging part was actually the legal side of it, as you can imagine. So we have come up with a very interesting framework, which is how we make money a common good. We are the service provider as a service administrator for the system, which then is given to a trust, which holds the system in trust. This is basically a smart contract cloud based on international law. Now, all the other market players can jump in. Consumers can use the system, businesses can, through a license, use the system for the money creation, and prosumers, as we call them, or service providers, can enter services. I just heard earlier on from Elias, he's working on P2P insurance. There you are. You could then actually go directly into the market with that without asking us. So this is how other market players can hook up to that federation, as we call it. And investors, that's very interesting. This is a third asset class because no one of these players has to give away equity, and no one of these players needs any loan because actually investors profit from a revenue share from the whole federation, which is basically like a tax. This is a private economy model with distributed power. So this is what we have built up, or designed and building up now. So our business models are of course an internal one with a KOINA fee for the credit creation. For an outside revenue stream, the businesses are paying for the use of the system, a license fee. And if states, we are talking to different states actually, who would like to run the whole system within their states, we can franchise that. So this is basically the KOINA framework in which investors can invest in. They can of course invest in the whole framework. They can also donate to the trust, and they can also get revenue. They can also get shares from our company if they would want to. So this is basically what we have been working on the last 3 years, and we call that the KOINA code: smart money, smart contracts, smart economy. This is our core team. We get a lot of help throughout the years from universities, from currency experts, from bankers even. And we are now here. We are building the framework. We are seed funded. And this year we're looking for another financing round of 2.5 million Swiss francs in order to set up the whole system and deliver the proof of concept. And there we are. The key benefits, again, for the system is a stable currency which never changes of value. It's without any inflation, deflation problems, nothing. It's a non-zero-sum game, another very important part. It's a debt-free system. It's a sustainable financial system. And the key benefit for businesses is actually our USP, self-issued credit. Of course, they can lower their costs and therefore have a lower risk. And consumers profit from cheaper and better products, and they can also, through the rating index, influence and design the system. So here we are. It's a game-changing system. That's what Eddie said early on. It's a sustainable financial system with a sustainable currency, and it's a network business models. And if you want to help us build it, join us. Thank you very much. And oh yeah, one last thing. We are responsible. We have to do it. We have to change something. It will not work like that on the long run. Thank you very much.
Thanks for questions. Any questions for Daniel?
Hello, my name is Alexander.
Hello.
A quick question: what happens if they default? Would they be excommunicated?
First question already.
No, but
always every.
It's a social model, so is there some types of excommunication if you're not part anymore of the circle?
No. First of all, if you're responsible for your own money, very strange things happen. I was last week in Lapland on the crowdsourcing week conference, and we introduced KOINA. This is actually our MVP. And if you play the KOINA game, and if you find out that you're designing the whole system yourself, there's no need for any fraud. If you design your own currency or if you self-issue credit, you would not cheat the system, you would cheat yourself. And once you realize that, there's no use of doing it. But if somebody would really do it, it's the same as in the system now. You can go to a incasso, I don't know if incasso company, I don't know the English word, I'm sorry. Sorry? Yeah. So that's the same thing. But you could also, if you don't return your KOINA credit to the system, you can also pay in legal tender. So there's different possibilities, and also we will offer a credit insurance with it. So you can, if you want to do it, just put a hook on the credit insurance, just like if you book flights.
So since this is a trustless system, I assume you're looking at blockchain technology or something like that.
Yes. It is a decentralized, for decentralized currency issuance, you need a decentralized system behind it. You cannot centralize it and say you're running it for the economy, for the private economy like that. That it wouldn't work. So yes, we're decentralizing also in a technological way.
Yeah, you mentioned that you're in Hamburg, but you had to register in Switzerland?
Yes.
Is this because of EU rules or because of mainly Pacific German rules?
Well, first of all, Germany actually was the first country to more or less allow private currencies through the taxation of the Bitcoin and what they have written in these contracts. So actually it would have been maybe even easier in Germany concerning the currency. But from bank regulatory issues, I wanted to get out of the EU.
Yeah, because as I understand it, Germany's always been very open.
Yes, they are. They truly are. Yes, that's true.
So it's just regulatory rules under EU rules?
Yes, this is the main reason, and to not be in the Eurozone.
Gotcha.
Hi, very interesting. Ian is my name. Thank you. You mentioned in your example how a good rating leads to additional credit. Presumably there's a risk of manipulation of that particular element in the program, either through false negative ratings or something of that sort. Does that play a factor in the system? Can you protect against that?
Yeah. Well, there are three types of ratings. The systemic rating, so if you have paid back your credit, this is a systemic issue that you cannot fake. Then there's a third-party rating through NGOs or others, and the public rating where everybody can rate everybody. So if there would be manipulation, probably only in the third one. I guess...
Is it important relative to the other two?
Well, the others are more important. Yeah. So it's basically a lower risk then, but of course, probably it could be done. We have to test it.
Okay.
To be honest, yeah, I don't know. Every rating is somehow manipulated.
So I understood how the baker created his currency by promising to deliver some bread. I didn't get how I, as a consumer, would come into the market and create.
Very good question, yes. It's a B2B system. Only those who create value can actually self-issue credit. Consumers can only earn it. That's basically due to the legal system we live in. If you want to make business, you always need to register, even if you're a person. And once that is changed, then we could also allow users or consumers to self-issue credit for services they offer. But as long as they need to register as a form of a company, it is not possible. So they can only earn it. For example, in Switzerland, they have the Swiss Vier, second currency for a couple of decades. If you are living in Switzerland, you can ask your boss to pay you like 80% in Swiss francs or 20% in beer or 10% in beer and 90% in Swiss francs, so it will be the same with KOINA.
Okay, Daniel, thank you very much. Thank you.
KOINA, by the way, is a Greek word for common, if you might wonder. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very good. Very good. I like systems that dispense with most of the financial system. That's kind of fun.